Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. If you are new here and you have not yet subscribed, please hit that like and subscribe button. Today is Monday, so that can mean one thing: it is Mystery Makeup Mondays. So let's get straight into the video. So I'm just going to put my Mickey Mouse ears back, just put my hair back. You have to excuse my hair, I've just had a shower, so it's a little bit wet. Right, so in today's episode, I am going to be covering the murder of the Moore family, and this is an unsolved case, and it's commonly known, popularly known as the Viscilla Axe Murder House. So as mentioned in the disclaimer at the beginning, it is quite gory details. I will try not to go into too much of the gory stuff, but it does involve children, basically. So the Moore family, Josiah Moore and his wife Sarah, got married in 1899, and they had 4 children. The children's names were Herman, Boyd, Catherine and Paul. They moved in the house in Iowa, United States until 1912. So they moved in 1903 to 1912, until one very unfateful night. On 9th of June 1912, they were all brutally murdered in their sleep. Now, this is unsolved because no one has been arrested for this. No one has gone down for these crimes. Bearing in mind, someone did confess to these killings, but we'll get to that in a bit if you don't already know. So on the 9th of June 1912, the Moore family were peacefully sleeping in their homes. Their dad, Josiah, was the first to be killed, and the weapon was an axe. Now, to this day, the house is still there. I think it's been renovated now, but it's still there with the original paint, and you can still see the axe marks on the walls. So I wanted to cover this story because Project Fear and Sam and Colby, who are YouTubers, they do ghost hunting stuff, they visited, and Project Fear went there recently and caught some amazing evidence. Now, I'm not saying that the ghost told them who it was, but let's just say they got a lot of evidence to suggest who it could be, which is weird because he was the one who came forward, but we'll get to him in a little bit. What happened on the 9th of June 1912, you ask? Well, all 8 people were brutally murdered. This included the Moore family, the mum, the dad, their 4 children, and 2 of their friends who were staying for a sleepover, and that was Lena Stillington and her younger sister Ina. Lena was just 12 years old when she sadly lost her life, and her little sister was just 8 years old. They were the last victims to be killed. I don't know how police figured that out, but the dad was first, then the mum, and then it was their own children, and then these 2 girls who were sleeping over because they were family friends, they were last. So Herman Moore was just 11 years old. Catherine Moore was just 10 years old. Boyd was 7 and Paul was just 5. So they were very young, and what happened to them was really sad. They believed the murderer was waiting for them in the attic until they fell asleep. Now, I don't know how police knew that he was waiting in the attic for them. I'm guessing because there was no forced entry, no doors were broken, no windows were shattered for them, or for him or her to break in and do this. So I reckon that it was someone who the family knew and possibly trusted, someone who knew their work schedules, school schedules, where they were, what they were doing. Possibly they might have been stalked by this person before the murders happened. It's just too much of a random thing, because it's okay, if there was a serial killer on the loose, why did it only happen to that family? Nothing was stolen. there was no signs of struggle, like nothing was broken, apart from Lena, who they thought possibly because she had defensive wounds on her, they thought she was the only one who was alive, so she could have possibly seen the killer, like could have seen him, but then it was dark, so it's probably just a silhouette of this person. But then he might have spoken to her and she might have recognised the voice, which leads me to the investigation that Project Fear recently had. However, they think that the rest of the victims were fast asleep, so only Lena had defensive wounds on her, so she probably either heard all the locomotion or wasn't actually asleep and woke up, or he woke her up. There is no definitive theory of really what happened because it's still unsolved, and like I said at the beginning, no one was arrested for this. There were a few people who were questioned as possible suspects, but no one was ever charged, so the killer was at large. But he never did it again. Why? Why not? If he was a serial killer, he would be at it all the time, which makes me believe he knew the family, he had some beef with them for whatever reason. I'm not trying to say murder is right, because it isn't, but what would possess someone to do this, you know? So I thought maybe the mum or the dad was having an affair, and this person found out, and it was their partner who was doing them dirty and decided to get revenge. But then why kill innocent people and children? Not saying cheating is right, of course, because you know, it's just the why as well, the who and the why. We know the when and the where, but who and the just what doesn't make sense. So we know the murder weapon was an axe. As I stated, there were axe marks on the walls a few feet away from the bed from where he killed his victims, and it's a big axe. I need to clean my brushes again, it's like poo. Yeah, oh, that's like rock hard. And so another weird fact, after he killed his victims, he then went to the kitchen. Again, I don't know how police knew that it was him. He went to the kitchen and had leftover food. I'm guessing maybe because they assumed that the family put it away and it was warm still, possibly, whatever he had. I think it might have been like soup or something, so he helped himself to leftovers and he hung around at the house for a little bit. Again, why? Nothing was stolen. The suspect, or the murderer, had no remorse when he was killing these people, you know. Who would wake up and decide to take an axe to someone's house, sit in their attic, wait for them to all fall asleep, and do the most disturbing, messed up thing to take someone's life? Like, is there a reason that he did this? Was it because this person was crazy? We will never know. But let's talk about the suspects. So there are many suspects, including Frank Jones, Henry Lee Moore, but the one that really stood out was George Kelly. He was a reverend, so a man of God, you know, someone who people looked up to. They were obviously a religious Christian family, and they just didn't believe that this reverend can hurt a fly, let alone murder a family while they sleep, when they're defenseless. So it didn't make sense to the police, but this guy, George Kelly, he confessed. He was like, I did it. The police were like, nah, no, you didn't. He was questioned. All the other suspects were questioned. There was a lot of suspects in this case, but the jury could never come to a decision, so it was a hung jury. So they let everyone go. I mean, you've got someone who's confessing to a murder, who had mental health issues, who was a, how can I explain this without like offending anyone? he was known to hire women to do work for him and stuff, like as a job, and like a typist. I can't remember the woman's name though, but he wanted her in the nude. So he was not right in the head, he was a bit sick, he was a bit perverted. And that just didn't raise any alarm bells with the police, you know. It's just like, okay, thanks for confessing to the crime, but you're free to go, you're free to walk, ciao adios, see you later. So all the suspects are walking around free to do this again. Bearing in mind it didn't happen again, which is odd, because it's like, if there was a serial killer on the loose, then surely they would be like, oh, I got away with it, let's do it again. Or maybe they're, oh gee, that was close, let's not do it. Which again leads me to believe there was a reason that this murderer murdered all these people and didn't do it again, because he had some sort of beef with this family. He wanted revenge on them for whatever reason, and unfortunately we will never know. I just don't know what it is. Maybe one of the kids was bullying this murderer's kids, or maybe there was an affair, maybe someone stole some money. Again, but what could be so bad that leads you to murder? It's just so strange, because none of the murders happened again. No one killed in the same town or near the same town with an axe, and the axe was believed to be one of the dad's axes in his tool shed. And then the next morning, after the victims were murdered, the neighbours didn't hear from the house for like a few hours and started to get worried, and they were like, they haven't like turned up for work to do their duties, and went knocking on their house, opened the door, and it was locked. So it was locked on the inside. So how did this person get in and out of the house? Did he have a key? Did he steal a key? If he did steal a key, how did you know where the key was in the house? Or did he steal it from one of the family members? If it's someone you didn't know and it was completely random because they were cuckoo or whatever, then you would, as an investigator, look for like break and entry, like, and there wasn't any of that. Just something doesn't sit right. There is so many unanswered questions about this case. Like I said, you know, who it was, why they did it, and unfortunately we're never gonna know. They didn't have the DNA, they didn't have like the technology back in the day to do like DNA, fingerprints and all that stuff, so they had very little to go by. So it's just all absurd how someone just woke up and was like, yep, I'm gonna brutally murder this whole family, including two of their family friends when they were innocent, like their children. It's, to kill is one thing, but to kill children and to kill when people are in their sleep, it just takes it to a whole nother different level. With Project Fear, when they investigated, I don't know if you know them, check out their YouTube channel, they were known as Destination Fear. When they investigated, they used PES devices, which is like an ovilus, and it's a word bank where spirits can manipulate this and talk to them basically. Now, I'm a believer in all this stuff. I'm not saying that it's been proven that the evidence is who it said it was. You just have to watch to find out for yourself. It's just a little odd with the things they were getting constantly. I believe they were talking to Lena, the older sister of the girls who slept over, and on the PS device they were like, who was it, and it got Reverend a few times, preacher, multiple occasions. It could have said absolutely anyone. It could have said one of the other guys' names, you know, but the fact that it kept saying Reverend and preacher, and they believed that Lena was the last one to go because she had defensive wounds and she woke up and possibly saw him. We don't know how dark it was, maybe there was a light on in the house and she saw him, and that's how they were getting these answers through their devices. you know, and they got it through multiple different devices as well. So it's just strange to me how that came through after asking who it was, and it didn't come through at any other time when they were asking other questions like, how did you die, da da da, you know. And you can see the axe marks on the walls and the ceiling, and it's quite away from the beds that he obviously did a massive swing and then got it back out. And what he did after killing all the victims, he covered them all in like a white sheet or whatever. And there was something about a shoe filling up with lots of blood. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but apparently there was so much blood from the victims, or one of the victims, it was pouring off of them into a shoe on the floor. And he covered them, which is strange because that's normally what you do to show respect to the dead, you know, what paramedics do in like hospitals and stuff. So why did he do that? Why did he show a little bit of, I'm not going to say the word remorse or empathy because he clearly lacked that because he killed them all, but why would he do that? Was it to make himself feel a bit better? Was it like a ha ha ha, I killed you and I'm going to cover you? And I don't know, like, you're never going to know what goes on in someone's head, and this leads me to believe it was someone that they trusted, because they went to church and the reverend was well known in the community, and the DPS device and the spirit box kept getting these words preacher and reverend, which relates back to George Kelly, who was a reverend. So it's like, that's interesting. How is this like possible? It's still an unsolved case. You can visit the house. It's like a sort of like a museum now. I'd love to go there. Is that a bit morbid that I want to go there? I have stood in places where people have been killed. I went on the Jack the Ripper tour and stood in the streets where one of his victims was found. I might cover him in the next one, I don't know. But yeah, you can go to the house in America and see it like for yourself. And it's mad that they knew he was waiting in the attic. Maybe because there was no signs of forced entry into the house, so he somehow snuck in, had a key, hid, and then did what he needed to do and just left. There were also reports of someone seeing this George Kelly dude staring into their house in their windows the day before it happened. So there's just things that just lead me to believe it was the Reverend, and he even committed it. Like, why would you commit to a crime he didn't do? Was it because he was cuckoo? Was it because he wanted attention? I don't know. Was he like saying that the devil made him do it? I don't know. It's all very strange, and it's really sad that they died that way and in their sleep as well. Like, I don't know what's worse, not being able to defend yourself or being in your sleep being defenseless. I feel like it's just like it's just so sad, and baffles me how someone can just take someone's life. I think I'd rather be asleep, to be honest, especially if it was someone that I knew. Yeah, it's all very strange. This case was obviously so many years ago. It's never going to be solved, unfortunately, which makes the story even more like mind-blowing and shocking, and I just hope that those people are resting in peace. I say that, but the house is meant to be very haunted, but then again, we don't know whether it's that family. It could have been something before that family moved in. It could be something on the land. We just don't know. But Project Fear investigated, like I said, and got all that evidence, and it's just too much of a coincidence for me. I think it was the Reverend, not just basing it on that either, the fact that he knew the family as well and he committed to it and was just dismissed, which is just shocking. There's just not enough evidence to arrest him. Please give it a like and subscribe. It is a shorter one today because obviously it's an unsolved case, so it's not as much information, etc. Let me know in the comments if there's any story you want me to cover. I might do something different next time. I might do something like spooky, mythical, legend, or just let me know if you want me to keep it as true crime, which is absolutely fine because I like both. And I hope you have a great day whatever it is you're doing, and I shall see you guys soon.